Hello everyone, this is Greyshot117,
And Greyshot151 here.
and today we're covering the Allied frontline infantry. Last time we covered the Axis frontline infantry, and many of you commented that the one unit that we messed up on for that was the JLI.
Yep.
151, you had a comment about that?
Yeah, we noticed your notes. Like at the very start, I brought up that I thought it was a different unit. I started making note to support the JLI. Thought it was another unit based on 117's comments and forgot to bring that back up. Probably should have remembered. But upon your further comments, we just want to say we apologize and we're going to move it 2 whole spaces.
Yes,
So for the JLI will now be going from a C tier to an F tier.
yes,
So
yes.
just so you know, just so you all are aware, F tier for JLI.
Joking aside about the JLI, I do want to give a shout out to the sponsor, aka myself, aka the merch store I just opened on 4th Wall, featuring a number of awesome Greyshot production shirt designs from Rank Doesn't Matter, Comeback Starts Now, and the original logo. Any of these interest you? Again, check the link down below, and hopefully you enjoy. No, seriously. Anyway, thank you guys again for watching these videos, and hopefully you
Yeah,
enjoy our opinion on the Allied Infantry.
exactly. You're not here for us to criticize the last video,
Yep,
you're here to criticize us on what we're going to say here. And so
exactly.
let us dive into the Soviet infantry, starting with Soviet airborne.
All right, so Soviet Airborne. These are an interesting group of units because, again, we're dealing with all pretty much the airborne for the Allies, and
Yep.
comparatively, they have a lot of pros for them, right? They have
Yes.
PPSHs, which is a free upgrade, and they get
Short range.
camouflage when they get them as well,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So that really does help in terms of dealing with how do I put this?
As with close
surprise
range,
attacks.
if you want that ability, let's say you pick an urban map, but you need a direct strike, and you only have this. It's not a bad trade-off, all things considered. Now you could go penals and get like the when you have the because this is part of the airborne doctrine. So when you get that drop, you could upgrade them with PPSHs to make them even better. But like these are still like pretty good infantry units at close range, really good long range with their upgrade as well. So they have that flexibility, which is nice. They're not terrible close range, and if I'm not mistaken, they do have the snare, right?
No, they don't.
No snare? Okay.
They have the DP light machine guns, which make them
Yeah.
extra powerful, medium to long range against infantry.
Yeah.
PPSH for close range. The normal rifles, I would say, like normal, medium, nothing too bad.
Yeah.
They Vet 1 to get the airstrike, which is okay.
It's trash. It's come on. When have you ever seen that do damage? Like
It's more annoying when if you drop
yeah,
it in, the enemy thinks it's something worse. Specifically the other.
it's
sort
an
of
expensive fake call-in, basically.
Yeah.
Uh,
Fair. Well, it's not that expensive. I think it's what, 40 munitions? I have a little set. 45.
I mean,
Okay,
the
it's a
Americans
little,
got the free one.
yeah.
Yeah. My thing is, yeah, I was thinking that without the snare, it's got a mech call-in. It's got some pros, it's got some cons, but it's not bad infantry.
No,
Like,
it is 360 manpower though.
yeah, for the Soviets, it's expensive, but like it's not bad, and it's not as good as their others. Like if you had like close range compared to like shock troops, these don't hold a candle.
Yeah.
But
I
they're not.
think I think right now yeah, shock troops and guards we'll get to, but I think they're better. But I do
I
think that the airborne does have pros to them. Maybe that they're not the best unit, but they're definitely not the worst of the
No,
Soviets.
I would say the bottom of A, top of B is where I'm thinking about for these guys.
Okay, how about this? We'll leave them at right now the top of B. Is that fair? Because I
Totally
would say
fair.
their DPS and effective combat prowess make them good. The defaults, and also they heal outside of combat event too. The
Yeah, which is
negatives,
nice.
yeah, the negatives to them, right,
Mhm.
are the fact that
No snare.
well, yeah, they don't have AT or effective anti-armor capabilities, but
Yeah.
neither do shock troops. But shock troops have a little more armor to help them.
Yeah.
These guys, the other issue they have is the fact that their call ability is kind of trash.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings them down a peg. I could see them being low A tier, but let's wait before we.
We'll hold off and see what else we have. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I think they're A compared to the Soviets when you want to call in specialized. When you want to call in like superior troops, for the Soviets,
Yeah.
and say just blobbing conscripts, which is completely fine, especially the 7-man squad. It's legit great. We'll get to the conscripts though later.
Do we
Yeah,
want to deal all the Soviets first, and then
yeah,
we'll
we'll go
get
through
back?
the Soviets. I think that adds
Okay.
like a nice comparison to that way we can speak to one faction at a time.
Okay, so next up for the Soviets, if we're keeping them at the Soviet Airborne at the top of B tier,
Yeah,
next up we got ourselves.
conscripts.
Oh yeah, conscripts.
I think
Okay,
this is high A. I think they're easy
yeah.
high A.
Well,
They're
here's the
cheap.
thing. Yeah,
They have
they're cheap.
anti-tank snare. The
Yes.
grenade is kind of mad because you get the Molotov, but the 7-man squad upgrade, the other upgrades you get, including like the airborne drop we just mentioned, being able to upgrade them with the SVT rifles. You can upgrade the PPSHs on some, but I'm not sure why you would, especially unless it's like a really urban map. And again, we're talking about 3v3 and 4v4 situations, so more of the time it's more open maps. Like you got your steps, you got your white ball, you got your red ball. Like
Yeah.
it's much more long range combat. Um, so you're not really going to be going to those. But again, they're cheap. You can get a lot of them, and when they swarm, they can swarm like no other.
Also, they're a unique infantry unit that has multiple ways to upgrade them.
Yes.
SVTs, tank hunters, PPSHs, and of course mobile reserve, which is the new thing for them, new in sense of COH2, where they get a 7th member plus a decreased reinforcement cost.
Yes.
So they do turn to pretty good infantry, especially because with 7 models, it's harder to kill. So a sniper, sure, you're
Sniper's
taking
gonna be
out
sad.
models. Yeah.
A sniper looks at a conscript and just weeps because it knows it's not doing jack.
So I think that right now the higher than A tier, especially because reinforcing, if you upgrade the 7 men, you can essentially get a full, and they're fine. You could reinforce an entire, a crew, like a mortar crew, an AT crew, and then retreat the
They're
unit.
cheap.
Yeah. So it has reinforcement capabilities. It has good AT snares. The Molotov's the only thing I'm iffy on. Although with the AT package, I'm not a huge fan of the ton of AT grenades. But
Yeah.
again, it's like pick your poison. Sure, the AT grenades
the
for
one-
the tank hunters, but then you got PPSHs, you got the SVT rifles on them, which is also a good upgrade.
Oh, they're so good. Again, they're like right up there with the 7-man squad for me. Like it's really a pick your poison kind of thing. It's your preference. But yeah, the Molotov it's so good against buildings. Like if a Wehrmacht jumps into a building with like an MG, it's like, well, I got 3 Molotovs for you. it's a case of
The wind-up's my issue. But
yeah,
again,
no.
it is a cheaper Molotov compared to the Americans, which are faster. So yeah. But overall, yeah, top of A tier for the right now. We'll see where they
Easy.
go.
Okay.
Engineers.
Oh, these guys. I'm
we put 'em in-
thinking these guys are like C or D for me, honestly. I'm
with
thinking C.
flamethrowers. With
They do.
flamethrowers.
They get flamethrowers, but like, which makes them good in urban combat, which is the saving grace and why I don't think they go to D. But like in a fight, they're trash.
And reinforced with conscripts, you can just keep them on the front, which do have a compatibility bonus with the Soviets, right? So
Who's reinforcing their? That's like, hey guys,
I
listen,
would,
I'm
and
gonna
I do.
reinforce my pioneers with grenadiers. It's like, no.
No. Okay, when they have the flamethrower and they're burning infantry, that's when you like to keep them in the fight.
That's kind of selective, though.
They also can tag in with the scout car to get the clown car, which is also a plus.
Okay.
There's another unit
Got
I
it
think
there.
is better in a light vehicle than them, but we'll get to them.
Yeah, we'll get to penals in a sec. But
No, not penal, something even better. But like I said, we'll get to them. Right now, I think C tier is where I'd put them because I think the demo is solid. I think they're cheap
that's
mines.
true. They do have the demo. That's it. That's at least upper C.
As frontline infantry, they do not tag in all that great, but as
They're
support,
not good at support either.
Yeah, as support with the mines, demos, and yeah, you're right because Americans have the tank traps. They do get a flamethrower upgrade.
Yep.
They get suppression.
They can build bunkers. Just out of any American engineer can easily build like a bunker, like the defensive station. So there's also that. So I'm thinking C. I'm thinking C. The flamethrower saves it.
They might go to D at this if we have.
No, the flame. I agree. The scout car, the opening with the car is a select time where it's good, and the flamethrower is legit good in urban maps. It's a little bit less so in 3v3 and 4v4 again, but like I'll give it C. I'll give it C.
I'm just saying. I think we should have, especially because there's so much infantry, equal amount of C tier that there is in D tier. I think we should try to aim for that. But
Well,
that's me. We'll see what happens at
I'm
the
saying
end.
D and S should be the same, but regardless, we'll see how things
D and
play
S,
out.
yeah. Yeah,
Well,
so next up we have the guards, which I think are at easy S tier.
yeah, I would agree with that, especially with the fact that like their anti-tank capability, they're the only Soviet infantry that when you upgrade them with the anti-tank rifles, they don't lose their anti-infantry power because I'm blanking out what the exact buff is, but maybe it's accuracy or something, but whatever the case, they're still good against infantry. And then you can still upgrade them with the DPs, right? And
Oh yeah, they have PTRS
360,
rifles.
so it's not a bad price. They're more expensive than conscripts, but they're not too expensive, you know?
The one downside is once you get the units, you have to upgrade them, right?
Yeah.
You have
Absolutely.
you have to get it, which again is a solid issue. They are at the start AT infantry, and again that could be an issue for a lot of players because you have to have the munitions. However, if you do and you upgrade them, their DPs are fantastic. They have a solid like hold against even the best German infantry. I think they can. I can't say they can win against Soldaten, but they can do damage, especially once they get additional veterancy. They have great AT and button ability, especially with the.
Oh
and
yeah, the button ability is so good. And the grenade, like it's just a basic grenade, but it's still a solid grenade and an actual grenade for the Soviets, which pretty
just
good.
Also to bring up, their veterancy increases penetration, accuracy, and decreases received damage. Plus, they get the eventually at Vet 3 they have their button vehicle ability increases by an extra couple seconds. Plus, of course, additional accuracy bonuses. But the big thing is at Vet 1 they get firing position, which pretty much a lot. And again, I'm looking here just to confirm. Because again, I want to make sure I'm right with my info this time.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Like those abilities, especially the buttoning ability. Like I cannot tell you how many King Tigers and Yags have like gotten too far. Like Johnny or Delta or someone snares them, and then everyone just tags in and just it dies. Like the button ability is so strong. I would argue that it by itself is S tier by how powerful that is to lock a tank in one position and to allow your teammates to throw everything they got at it. Like
especially if you have like two of these and you chain it.
Yeah.
But again, I do feel like there is a big counter to this, and it is the upgrade. You need to upgrade them, which I think it
but
makes
that's
them
like
lower.
I would argue the same thing with like riflemen, right? Riflemen are good.
Riflemen are still
with
good.
With bars, they're great. Like
okay, yeah, that's fair. That is fair. But right
so
now,
we'll put them in for S.
Yes,
S tier for sure.
So next up,
Partisan.
This is gonna be Partisan. Got the whole like Redux, right? Because now with Partisan, you upgrade how they're going to be, right? You upgrade them to AT or close range. Here's my biggest gripe with Partisans. They're too goddamn costly.
Like what is basically a suicide unit.
Yeah. That's my biggest gripe with Partisans. They're I really do love the doctrine of Partisan. I've come to appreciate it more more and more as the additional stuff to get you information of what the enemy has through the radio, right? That stuff's great. And also the spy map, right? The problem is these units, while the initial shock and awe is great, once they start losing models, it takes forever it takes forever to reinforce and get them back up. And yeah, they're fine. Also, with the Shrek upgrade, it's one Shrek, not two. So don't expect to like take out Panzer IVs with this. It's really just maybe for a Werfer if you're lucky, and you have to make sure that you hit it and snare it, or snare it and hit it. You can't otherwise it might get away.
Yep.
So I don't know. I see them at the maybe low end of B or upper end of C right now, because again, they can't place mines.
I would say previous Partisans might have been higher, but based on the new changes and the fact that you also have to wait. So it's not something like, oh, we have a Stuka close to this building, let's go. It's oh, we have to plan this out more time, which means the effectiveness of the surprise is lessened, which means because it needs So much more prep time, and like the best units are the units that have like instantaneous abilities or instantaneous results.
Yeah.
And the partisans are slow on the draw in this case.
Yeah, I think Partisan Doctrine has a lot more benefits than this unit. I do like how they give you the option now. It's not just two separate units. I like that option for these. But I will still say, and I do think the PPSH is better than the Shrek. But I still don't think these are great units, and I think they're too costly for long-term game impact. So, top of C?
Yeah, I'll go top of C. I'll go top of C.
Okay.
Now
next,
penals.
Yeah, okay.
Listen. Listen, 117. You're such a fan of the Scout car, you obviously know the worth of this unit. You know, like, so please tell us, what is the rank of the penal?
I love penals and hate penals, but it's a complicated relationship. Okay, so the reason I love penals is they are more like they are stronger infantry. Sure, the reinforced cost on them, you know,
it is higher. It's higher.
Yeah,
if you start taking units or losses, you feel the pain.
Yeah, so that's definitely a problem. But what I will say is their satchel's great. They still have good fighting power against other infantry, especially early on. And even once they get additional veterancy bonuses, their AT PTRS rifles are solid, especially with the AT satchel. Again, I want them to do better than they are, but even I, who typically especially use them a lot, find them... I find that if you don't reinforce or...
You're trying so hard to be nice.
I'm trying. They can be very good, and I really like them in certain engagements, but it's still tough. But they do get PPSHs, which I will admit is pretty solid. But again, or with the SVT drop, or the weapon drop, that would give SVTs to conscripts.
Yeah.
Look.
I mean, that's not the upside. The AT is kind of trash on these because it like you get conscripts to be anti-infantry, right? So unless you have something to replace them as anti-infantry like units, then this basically is a light anti-tank. And yeah, sure, the satchel can now like attach to vehicles and such with that ability, but you have to get close. The anti-tank is okay up until like medium armor, in which case you're gonna need a lot of these, but then you're not gonna have anti-infantry abilities, so it's really a trade-off that I don't think is worth it. So I would say the bottom of B, because I do think they are strong infantry at the start to mid-game, but they quickly lose punching power. They're expensive, so they're gonna be a long-term drain on your resources, and the fact that these guys can't upgrade like the guards with the DPs, right? If these guys could upgrade to guards, holy crap, they would be like amazing, if not broken. But like,
yeah, I still like my scout car PTRS rifle combo to push back light armor.
Yeah,
I still like their ability to just, especially look, they got to the last man event once, so that makes them better. I want them to be better than they are. I would still put them higher than the Soviet Airborne, but I would only put them at B tier. I would not put them any higher.
But let's put them at the bottom of B. And again, if they had, an upgrade, or if they had the anti-tank ability to like actually hit infantry, these guys would be great. They don't. They're stuck at the bottom of B.
Just to put in perspective, their reinforced cost is the same as guard forces. So
yeah, but it's like bang for your buck, right? It's like you go to a movie and you're paying $20 to see Knives Out, or you go $20 to see
Black Adam.
God. Black Adam, yeah. When you're getting more bang for your buck in regards to like quality of film.
He saw both films. I've only seen Knives Out 2, and I will say Knives Out 2 is fantastic. 151. How's Black Adam?
It's a movie.
Okay. So
next up, shock troops. Ah, darn! What a shame. Changing topics.
Okay. Here's another thing. This might be a little controversial, especially coming from me. Originally, and I still do. I like shock troops a lot. Again, they have, they actually, weirdly enough, can take a lot of bullets because I believe they have an armor value to them, which is shown in their plates. They can do a significant amount of damage close range. They have a solid grenade, smoke grenade. They're great at especially getting around enemy defenses. They, again, close range against a lot of heavy German infantry, especially like Panzer Grenadiers. Shock troops will pretty much, in my opinion, can go toe-to-toe and win. They have the slight edge, in my opinion. maybe Panzer Grenadiers get more of an edge with veterancy, but if shock troops are equally vetted, that I believe shock troops will win. But maybe, oh wait, no. Panzer Grenadiers might win better at medium range. Shock troops will win better at, like I said, closer range.
Shock troops will eat Panzer Grenadiers at close range.
Yes.
Clear. I've seen it. I've watched it happen.
Here's my problem, right? One, shock troops are expensive to reinforce, but that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is actually not with shock troops. It's for Mother Russia. It's what they did to all close range infantry, where Panzer Grenadiers have a speed boost with armor, right? They have that, where if they're near armor, they can run.
Shock troops can't do that. Shock troops can't run anymore.
For Mother Russia has been nerfed, so they no longer can run while being shot at, which decreases their effectiveness at closing the gap, which makes them worse.
Less effective. Yeah.
And
also you gotta think about it for like, I'm sure in a 1v1 or 2v2 with more close range combat or urban maps, it's possibly in a better situation because you can surprise the infantry. There's less combat. There's less long range. Like there's more setup for close range, right?
Yeah.
In 3v3 or 4v4, unless you're playing on like Horde of Hamburg or like I don't know, something like that, you're really not going to have the opportunities for close range. Long range firepower has the advantage in those bigger, more open maps. Close range does have its place, but it's much more at a disadvantage. And shock troops are great, but the enemy can wear you down to the point where you can get a unit, maybe a unit and a half, but without like a lot of setup and a lot of smoke, it's just not doing what it used to do. And especially without for Mother Russia. That was such a nerf.
I will say, and this is with all the Soviet infantry, you can bypass the reinforcement cost by getting a conscript, 7 mana, and then reinforcing men if to make it cheaper if you want. A little more complicated, but you can do that.
So where would you say? Mid B?
I still think shock troops are pretty powerful, but again, I think compared to other close range units that we will get to, I do not think they are as good. Right now, I think keeping them low A is where I'd put them because their armor value is where I would say they're good. But I do not think that...
And they do excel. Like, if they do catch, like, Obosoldatan close range, they will annihilate them easily. Yes. There's no question. It's just the getting there is the problem. And their ability to get there, yes, I know, for the Mother Russia technically isn't a part of every shock troop doctrine. But it is a very core concept, and it's also, like, what was the thing that kind of broke them and made them like the unit to fear, right?
Yeah. So okay, so low A. Next up we got ourselves the Soviet officer, which is interesting because these guys, even though on face value but they may not be the best, the Commissar is solid because of its support functionality to infantry, such as hold the line or not one step back, which it tells them to attack enemy better, and the other ones hold better. The real kicker to me is fear propaganda. That is 45 munitions, it's cheap, and you can force enemies back, right? And it's not one, it's like, again, it's just a whole area that gets affected. Maybe not as, wide of a range as the other fear prop, but it's still pretty potent.
Yeah.
Cost-wise, it's 260 manpower, but it does have the same reinforcement cost as guards. And again, it does get some nice veterancy bonuses. Increases the size of the squad by 1 when it goes up by 1. Again, increases the range abilities at 2 with accuracy, and then additional stuff at 3 for received accuracy. Has a solid grenade. I would also say that. But again, this is a support unit. You're only getting 1, but I still think it's a solid support unit. I could see this at A tier. I
would agree with that on A tier. I think the fear prop alone is just so devastating because, like, a machine gun, Obosodan, pop, they're gone, and that allows you then, like, usually I see this with conscripts. They push in, they use the fear prop, knock out a unit or two of the whatever it's fighting, and then they are just swarmed and annihilated, or maybe not like annihilated, but they're beaten back. So, like, I would say that the support alone of this, and the fact that you can constantly do it at a good price, means that it's a extremely powerful unit, very potent unit, and one that I would highly recommend people playing with.
Would you say it's better than conscripts? Because I think conscripts are so versatile in support.
No,
and
I would say it's a close second, honestly.
Okay, that's fair.
I would say it beat shock troops. It's easily beat shock troops, but it's like a close second to conscripts because I think it's not good by itself.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially the support it gives. For example, conscripts on the front. I think that could be really beneficial, allowing like let's say a 7-man squad beat Obersoldaten with its support. So, next up we have a weird unit, and I say weird because this is a very specialized unit. It's the Soviet Assault Guards, which again, it's a very weird. Like, okay, so with them messing around with units, they gave, instead of calling in a vehicle and a unit, they're just like, okay, we're gonna call in a unit, right? So that's with like Lend-Lease and anti-infantry tactics. So they get Thompsons. They do get bazookas. So they have that going for them. They have the grenade package that's similar to Assault Grenadiers, where they throw multiple grenades. And they also have Bazooka Expert, right? So it does increase the the penetration, I believe, of the bazooka. They cost 340, but reinforcements the same as most other 27. So it's not too bad. Again, Vet 1, they heal out of combat. They decrease weapon cooldowns, accuracy, and then increase accuracy and grenade throwing distance of Vet 3. It's weird because of the doctrines that this unit is with are not exactly like the most common that I see.
I can't think of any, like, because like IS-2, IS-152, Hank Hunter, like a lot of the meta or like the stuff I see a lot of the time doesn't really incorporate this whatsoever. So it's really like it might be a good unit, but the commanders it has is just.
Yeah, so I feel like this is a good unit that's actually brought down. Compared to Partisans, where Partisan brings down the Partisan commander, this unit excels where the Partisans maybe, not Partisan, but its overall commanders for the other two aren't as strong. Anti-infantry is, I think, still pretty strong, but I don't think Lend-Lease or anti-infantry were in the top tier, especially when you compare it to like doctrines with the ISU and such. Those are clear favorites in the community.
So would you incorporate this into like a low B, mid B, above penals, you'd say?
I still think the unit is solid because, again, it does have Thompsons. It does have a strong bazooka, which is a solid AT. It's probably better than the P-Turret rifles with the bazooka bonus, right? So they are like a solid unit. I mean, compared to the Soviet Airborne, their bonuses that they have are actually positive. So I could see these guys do pretty well. The only thing you could say is they don't have the satchel, right? So that's a catch. But they still have a solid anti-infantry grenade ability, and the unit heals out of combat at 1. So this might be a weird opinion, but I think I would put them higher on the B tier scale than Soviet Airborne.
Okay.
What?
I have less experience with this unit, to be 100% honest, so I'm willing to take your advice on this one.
I like Soviet Airborne because it goes with that doctrine. I feel bad for the Soviet Assault Guards because I feel like, again, these units are solid that are in a bunch of commanders that maybe aren't as picked as the rest. Maybe in a 1v1 they're better, but in 3v3 and 4v4 I don't see a lot of, maybe Lend-Lease because maybe the trucks, but anti-flames, I think that Terror Tactics maybe does that a little better, if that kind of makes sense. Especially because of direct strike. But anyway, that's all the Soviets, I believe.
That is. So you want to dive into the Americans?
Yes. All right, America, here we come.
America was not first, actually. America was not first.
No, they were not first to the war. But by God, they will end it. So first up, we got ourselves...
Assault Engineers. These aren't your favorite. Armor Company.
We're not going to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
I would put these guys... like low A, honestly. Like, good close range. You can get them right from the start. They're actually very potent. Maybe not like running into like Sturm Pioneers and such, but like, catch someone in like Leanne Forest and whatnot on the in the forest side, and you can do some good damage. You can upgrade them to have a flamethrower, right?
Yeah.
Flamethrower? Yeah, flamethrower. So they're really good at like urban combat as well.
Yeah. They have a demo. They have repairs. I mean, they have the quick repair. Like, I don't dislike them. I'm playing a lot more, and I don't find them like shock troops, right? They're not going to hold like shock troops. Do
Oh,
not
God, no.
expect these guys to hold like shock troops. But, I
Potent
do
close range infantry that complement a field the Americans don't have early game, which is close quarters combat. And if you're fighting, let's say, a lot of I don't know, OKW, it could be a very good way to like surprise them because they're coming at you expecting riflemen, which are good at medium range to close quarters. You know, they're not the worst. But you come out with these suckers and suddenly you're burning buildings and like popping like corners and shredding their infantry. So I think it's a good surprise.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I would actually disagree at putting them in A tier. And I have a reason for it.
You're saying S tier. I understand.
No.
Armor company.
And I'm jumping the gun right now, right?
Yeah.
Or, sorry, A tier. But, first off, I do feel like they don't have the close range capabilities of some other units, right?
Yeah.
Even with, units with PPSHs or Thompsons are going to perform better, right? The flamethrower is a solid attachment, but again, that limits more range and you have to get closer, which is fine. The one thing I will say is there's another unit that also gets the flamethrower, but I think for the cost and the value it brings, that they are slightly better. And I know we're jumping the gun a little bit, but it's funny because it's the British Royal Engineer Recovery Squad.
They're potent, especially like I'm not going to argue with you.
Especially because they are also an introductory unit. I feel like overall they can perform better because they have a lot more potential with like the heavy engineer upgrade. They still get flamethrowers. The salvage on there. I'm not saying the demo's bad at all. I think having an American demo is a pretty solid bonus, and the fighting position and stuff is good. But then these guys can be really good on the building and fortifying and other things.
Yeah.
So maybe how about this? Can we put them at the top of B tier?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Because I feel like, the support
fine.
functionality, I would say the support functionality for your team brings them up a little bit than the Soviet assault guards.
Okay. What about the next assault units?
All right, so next up, the assault riflemen. These are the guys that I was actually talking about with the scout car.
Okay.
Because for those who don't know, there's a vehicle. A video with Ace having these in a vehicle.
When he obliterated the entire enemy team, like
yes,
it was on White Ball, wasn't it? Like he just drove through and just kept murdering infantry squad after infantry squad. Yeah,
for reference, these are the cavalry riflemen. Sorry, I put these down incorrectly as the assault, but
no, cavalry infantry, they're good against vehicles. They get some upgrades to like throw satchels against vehicles. Yep. Like they are extremely potent when they get in close, and I think that they're let down a little bit by their commander. By like, I think they'd be there'd be a little bit more use of them. I think if they were implemented with more, but they're only in the one commander.
Okay, here's a question, right? Because we didn't really do this with the last one. Should we bring down units if the commander sucks? Because then I'll bring down the Soviet.
I wouldn't say so. I would say we're not basing on the commander unless it like impacts the unit, right?
Yeah.
I think we brought up partisan, like the abilities kind of help that unit kind of make up for some of its shortcomings. We brought up for Mother Russia for the shock troops, so I think it can be an accessory. I don't think it should be like a big detriment or a plus for them. In this case, then, just because it's not a very popular at the moment, I don't think it should, or probably maybe not forever. I don't think it should be like hampered too much. So good close range, good rifleman, and he's still rifleman.
Good. I will say there is one thing that it does beat in terms of other riflemen, and that is the fact that it has smoke grenades and it has smoke grenades available to it, right? So a lot of American forces, if you want smoke, you go heavy cav, you get the grenade upgrade and you use your echelon. You have to get, was it a lieutenant or something like that, right? To smoke and get through so your rifleman can push. Here, it has it. So you could use smoke, move up quickly, and then lay down hell on a vehicle, MG, right? The satchel can't work against bunkers and other, like, fortifications and stuff. That's fine. It's mainly for anti-vehicle. That does have a limiting factor to it, but if a vehicle's dumb enough to get close to this thing, it's a goner. So I This one's weird. I actually might find them better than the assault engineers because they are more potent, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think they deserve to be an A tier because I think they're a good unit in an okay doctrine.
Yes.
So I'm willing to give them the B tier as well.
Right.
Top of B though, because the only question is the Soviet airborne. I think we might have to go back and give it a little bit of love, but we'll hold off on that for a sec.
Yeah, we'll go through and kind of mess with things at the end.
Right now, I think that's a good place.
There's just so much more in this that I might change once we get a better picture of what we're looking at.
Now, the captain.
Yeah. Okay, so usually
remember, we're not going based off what it unlocks, which is what basically everyone goes for, which is the anti-tank gun and so on and so forth. We're just looking at the unit itself, and it does come with an upgrade. You know, you get a bar with it. You don't need to unlock the bars for the Americans. You do get veteran. This sucker's really good, especially at a higher Renzi. It can run, so you can get back up to the front relatively quickly. I'm not like too crazy about it though, because it is a more close range unit. People don't realize that, but even you get the bar, it is much more of a close range kind of like if the enemy comes to you, it's going to get worn down so hard, so fast. Maybe not the best at the greatest range. So I would say for what it is and what it does, maybe like mid B, okay, because you do get smoke, you don't get a grenade. Right?
Wait,
there's no snare.
Hold on. Again, so I feel like this is a good opportunity to talk both about the captain and the lieutenant, right? Because I think they go hand in hand, right?
Okay.
The lieutenant, you get a grenade, right?
Yes.
And I believe both have like a close range functionality to them, but the lieutenant, you get a bazooka, right? So one gets a bar, one gets a bazooka, right? So it's your, it's like a Pokemon. Right? It's like, what are you going to get?
You're going Hitmonchan or Hitmonlee. It's your choice.
Exactly. That's actually pretty poignant to what I was going to say. So, the reason I bring that up is because while a person might see a lieutenant as better because you get a grenade, I feel like a pro player would see the captain better because you get on me, which means if a unit's suppressed nearby, it'll run to the captain and be unsuppressed. And then you can make units, especially in a pinch, come out very quickly with the supervise functionality, right? So I feel like, again, a lieutenant is going to be, your jack of all trades, a solid unit that can help, where the captain is going to be the one that's going to really help with your industry, really help you through pinches being suppressed or pinned down or whatever, especially when airstrikes or something is suppressing your infantry.
Also, to be quite frank, the bazooka is not a good upgrade for the Americans. I mean, most people in a 3v3 or 4v4 sense, you're not really going for a bazooka all the time. And while we don't want to bring it up too much, the bazooka is the main anti-tank you get if you go lieutenant, because you don't get the anti-tank gun. The captain, you get the anti-tank gun, and it's
and we'll get to the super bazooka unit that is scary.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a bit. But all I'm saying is, I think with all that in mind, you did convince me. I think captain, in that case,
can captain go to lower A?
Yes.
Right. And then maybe lieutenant.
Maybe between Soviet assault grens and penals, or below penals.
So
below penals. Bottom of A for captain. Bottom of B for lieutenant.
Because so they are the equivalent of a rifleman with a free upgrade with a bazooka, or kind of with maybe a close range bonus.
Not free; it just has the option, so you don't have to spend that little. I guess it is. You don't have to spend extra for it.
Yeah.
But you're not really. No one really goes to the bazooka. No one I play with. They'll go for the lieutenant for what it unlocks. But the early game, I think the anti-aircraft half track is rather good. The problem is, I don't think anyone really is give me that bazooka. That's what I really want early game. So I think the upgrade is kind of lackluster.
I don't think we should put it above the Soviet assault guards, because I feel like they get the bazooka bonus, and that's pretty effective, plus they're better close range.
How about just above penals? Because you can't upgrade these guys with bars. Let's not forget that. You can upgrade these guys with bars rather easily.
But here's the question.
Yeah.
What's better AT, lieutenant or penals?
Damn it, you're right. Okay, I'll give you that one. Penals are better. Would I do it? No, but like
Yeah.
in that argument, I will relent and give you the penal
Yeah.
option
And
as
again,
better.
the captain fills a fundamental aspect of the Americans for getting rid of suppression zones and also for helping with getting stuff out faster. Plus,
Also,
it's a
just
solid
smoke.
unit.
You can throw
Yeah.
smoke down and just run. So you're
So-
like, the sucker's good. The sucker is very good. You convinced me by reminding me of all the abilities. Definitely a lower A.
Okay. So next up, we actually begin the weird
IR Pathfinder.
Yeah, I say weird because we have two Pathfinders that we'll be discussing. The IR Pathfinder and the normal Pathfinder.
We should probably just put these both up. And yeah, the Pathfinder basically is it's a unit that you get with Airborne. You can build reinforcements like little stations that basically give you an insight of what the enemy's doing, behind the fog of war. You can reinforce other units like paratroopers using them, which is extremely good for how good paratroopers are. Like, they have a great support, but they're also rather good on the offense. Yeah, like, against a Kubelwagen, or light armor, they're trash, because they don't do that much damage, and they don't have a snare. But, like, and they don't have a grenade, and they don't have smoke. Like, they don't have a lot of things. But you know what they make up for? Potency, because these suckers will knock out models like no other. They are the JLI equivalent to in the Americans. And honestly, they are busted in a lot of ways. Like, they are so good. I would argue that IR Pathfinder
they have been nerfed a bit over the years, I will say.
Yes, but they are still potent, and you can
They're
not
still
tell
potent.
me.
And I will say, even though you do get, I guess, a small decrease in efficiency because they don't get like the better gun, or they get one less good gun and get a fine okay one. The IR Pathfinder has an early game direct strike, which can be hell for Germans' defenses and fortifications, and also they can cause hell with the decoy.
The problem is it's with a commander that is okay. Like, it's good, but it's just okay. And I would argue that the Pathfinder Airborne is so complementary that
to the paratroopers.
To the paratrooper doctrine, it's so good, right? It's so potent, it's so good, especially you upgrade these guys with bars. Like, don't forget bars. Or like,
I mean, you still get paratroopers, but again, it fundamentally goes against what COH2's been doing recently, or I guess with the patches about like, hey, the call-in has multiple units in one. We're gonna separate that. This is one of the few instances where they didn't do that. It's still a howitzer and a paratrooper squad, but it's not a normal paratrooper squad. It's a slightly different paratrooper squad.
Yeah, I'm still going to give it the fact that, like, I would say IR Pathfinders go A because they're still Pathfinders. Like, they're still just Pathfinders, and they get a call-in, which is better. So, like, even though technically the IR Pathfinder is the better version on paper, Pathfinders are the actual better unit because they're in the better doctrine, better, more easy support ability for that because you don't have to like spend extra resources and all that, and getting like a howitzer and stuff too. You just get the paratrooper, which is great.
That's fair.
So I put Pathfinders S tier, and I would put IR Pathfinders A tier because
I'm gonna be honest. Pathfinder will not. Sorry, the Pathfinder will not hold up in S tier. My personal opinion.
Guys, you know where I stand. You know where I stand in this. I know I've been on the receiving end of these things too often to know that they are like
Barfinders. I understand their potency, but compared to other things we're going to get to, I do not see them holding an S tier. If we're keeping what 3 units in S tier.
And in that case, then IR Pathfinders are top of B, and Pathfinders are the top of A.
Right
Sorry,
now,
conscripts, eat your heart out. Like, yeah.
Again, I will get to what I believe is in top of S tier. But
I know it's top of S tier.
Okay, so actually we're about to get to it. Paratrooper.
So S tier.
Yes, that's yeah. So if Pathfinder is a solid unit that complements another unit, the paratrooper is the unit that brings the Germans pain and suffering on a scale unimaginable, and it's fantastic. And the reason is they have, well, first off, without any
multiple upgrades.
Yeah, without upgrades they're still solid, but with upgrades like the LMGs, they are hell. They are pain and shred infantry like crazy.
Yeah, just giving them bars is even a worst option. Like, I don't know why you would, but like, LMGs are the most potent things on the planet. They get the close range option, which is kind of trash, honestly, compared to the other options. It's like you get a good burger or you get a flame mignon. Go for the flame mignon, unless you're in like urban combat, I guess. Or you get the bazooka option, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Thompson's. It's Thompson's. Okay, it's Thompson's with the airborne, and with the recon support with the IR pathfinders, you get bazookas.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes. But again, they do get the bazooka expert perk, but compared to, once again, another American unit that is right around the corner, they don't get necessarily the full firepower that you would get with the bazooka perk. I still think the 1919s are solid. The Thompsons are great. They still...
1919s will shred a German. 50 yards away. Obersudan will show up, and they're going to be sad.
The reinforcement cost is cheaper. Like, again, it's only 28, which is... We've been going over a lot of that stuff, but, like, the most expensive units are a little bit higher, and that itself is not bad at all. Nope. And again, with the... as it vets up, it becomes more of a nuisance, and then you combine that with beacons and other stuff that can heal on the front. It becomes a very difficult
a walking nightmare for anything it fights. I'm not saying it's overpowered, because it's... I think, honestly, the Pathfinders aren't, like, obscenely broken. Like, they're great. Yeah. But I don't think they're broken. I think, like, something that was broken... I think that we've had units that are broken.
Yes.
And I think Airborne itself is broken.
Aviary is currently broken.
Yeah, Aviary, and I would argue Airborne needs a nerf, but, like, because it's such a good doctrine. But, like, overall, I would say that, like, the unit itself isn't, like... It's just there's so much good in that doctrine that makes it great. Paratroopers, yeah, easiest. Easiest S we've seen so far.
Here's the question.
Yeah.
We mentioned the guards having a bit of a initial weakness and then climbing to be better, right?
Yeah.
Paratroopers, they get the M1 carbine, so I would say they're pretty solid overall in firepower, and then they get more firepower with additional bonuses. So,
yeah,
would you put them higher than guards or lower? Because I'm thinking
absolutely. Higher. There is no question in my mind these are better than guards. Guards are better in the ability-wise, right? Like, I think if you had to fight infantry, right? Yeah, you don't know what infantry you're going to be fighting, but you know you have to fight infantry. Which do you choose? Paratroopers. If you're fighting a whole bunch of armor and you need the abilities, guards. One is good in regards to its abilities. One is better in regards to its anti-infantry capability. And in regards to what you're going to face more, it's going to be that anti-infantry capability. Because, like, in most situations, your infantry is fighting other infantry. It's not fighting tanks. And that's why paratroopers, you get more of a bang for your buck out of them than the guards. Like,
yeah,
that's just how it is.
That's fair. Okay, so all right, next up we have probably the next best American unit, like
Rangers.
We have the Rangers. Now here's where things start going a little downhill for the Rangers. Positive. Let's get it right off the back. 3 bazookas with the bazooka upgrade. They have a serious amount of firepower, and there's a reason why in COH2 4v4s that Ranger blobs are a threat, more so to even Panzer Grenadier blobs, because you combine that with it's always the weird ability that I never can get right. Combined arms, right?
They seal club. They turn fearsome German cats into seals. Like that is the equivalent. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, they also have a close range capability in regards to their upgrade for the Thompson.
Yes.
Which makes them very potent close range.
If
you're throwing a lot of smoke down, you gotta defend a point. These suckers will shred anything that touches that point.
Oh yeah, because usually with the commander, it's heavy cav, so they drop smoke in, you push on in, you clear house. But there is and again with Thompsons, they're fantastic. I will not deny. But they're 5-man, right? Compared to the Paratrooper 6. They are like 10 manpower less, but they're 4 more to reinforce. They are more costly to reinforce, which adds up over time.
Yep.
And probably the biggest, probably the biggest issue as well with these guys is it just, I feel like if you're going with a strong close range unit, maybe paratroopers are slightly better. I know they're outfitted with LMGs, I get that, but like, I feel like paratroopers might be slightly better.
So for the commanders that you get them in, though, they are like the best thing you can get because you can't get paratroopers and rangers. There's no commander that gives you both.
No.
But in regards to like close range capability, the ranger is a great choice.
Yes.
And even if you don't want to, if you just go back to your base and give them bars, they're really potent. They're really, really good. They just don't have the... like, if a German sees a ranger with bars, right? They're going to be sad, but they're going to be like, okay, I can win this. If a German sees a paratrooper with LMGs, they're going to cry.
Yeah. So right now, right, and again, they get a solid grenade, which, again, is the same thing with any American.
Good.
But,
yeah, it's good.
Where would you place them? Because I'm right now thinking they're better than shock troops still.
Yeah. I would argue right around, I would say right around the conscript level. Like, I'd say below conscripts. Like, they're really good, but I think the fact that there is a better alternative. And for the commander that it's in, like, it's not bad. It's an A tier, for God's sake. We're not saying this is a bad, but like compared to other things, it just doesn't have that extra oomph to get it to the next level. It is a bit more expensive. It doesn't have a snare. It doesn't have like long range capability because you have to get bars to do that, and that's an extra step in another tool. Like, it has a few caveats. It keeps it going from any higher. But I mean, in regards to the competition, it's only losing to 4 other infantry units in this game. Rangers, guards, paratroopers, guards, pathfinders, and conscripts. That's some tough competition, and I don't think Rangers should be sad about getting in 5th.
That's fair. Yeah, and again, A tier is still a very solid unit.
And they're great. They're great infantry. They're really solid infantry. It's just they're just not as good as the other things in this area, but they're clearly above and beyond. Like, I would take a ranger over a penal. I'd take them over IR pathfinders, assault, a captain, like Soviet officer. Like, they're just really good.
Let's go over something that's maybe not as good for echelons. Now, here's the thing that keeps them up: the rear echelon grenade. The rear echelon grenade they get for an upgrade is a solid, amazing ability that will, again, it's noob tubes for it
is the noob tube of World War II. Let's be honest. And they are potent enough that I've seen these people spam them. Like, back in the day, there used to be some fun had when you equip a whole bunch of echelons, give them bars, and say, go to work. Like,
or bazookas. Remember the bazooka blobs of old when they would fight King Tigers and just shred it?
Or Yags. Yags that got flanked by a swarm of echelons. Hilarious. You don't see that anymore. And I think that the case here is that I think that the grenade ensures that this is at the top of S, if not bottom of B. Also, tank traps. Fantastic. You can build bunkers. Fantastic. You can barbed wire. You can do other add-ons. Like, it's
a lot of times you see Americans block off territory with tank traps. That's the thing it has against engineers. Tank traps that it can build.
Or compared to the British. They don't have tank traps. I think those two would maybe put these at the bottom of B.
Oh,
because,
yeah.
But, like, I wouldn't... the noob tube is like an S tier item. But, like, it keeps it from going any... I'd say bottom of B is where it's at. Maybe, actually, they're not bad infantry either. I'd put it maybe above lieutenant. Would you argue with that? Like, because I wouldn't put him any higher because, like, penals and stuff are good.
I think that's solid. I think that's a solid choice, as well as say.
Because, they're also not bad. Like, you put them behind heavy cover, they're not going to win any fights, but, like, you're happy that they're there. They're waving a flag. You know, they're just support.
You know, I've been thinking, here's the problem. We have lieutenant. Someone's going to yell at us because next up we have rifleman, right? And here's the coming problem.
Yeah.
On paper, right, if you look at rifleman and lieutenant, right, a lieutenant technically does have like a close range add-on that it has, right, to help it out, plus smoke and grenades. We go with the rifleman, and they are the backbone of the Americans, right? They're their
Yeah.
frontline unit. Technically, like, what is technically stronger, a base rifleman squad or a base lieutenant?
I would assume the lieutenant, I think, in regards to a fight. But the thing is, you have to spend 35 fuel for a lieutenant. Let's not get, it's like, yes, you're unlocking stuff, but you have to spend fuel to unlock it. You don't spend fuel to get the rifleman. The riflemen just come out manpower. They come out and do work from the start, and they do some great work.
That's okay. That's fair. Plus, riflemen do have a sort of ability.
If anything, you're convincing me the lieutenant should go into C. Is really the only thing you're convincing.
I know. I just want to make that very clear, but to the audience. But anyway, Americans, they have all sorts of small abilities like conscripts, range from grenades, of course, they unlock, which is, again, you have to pay for the upgrade. Like the conscripts, you have to pay for the AT grenade and such.
Yeah, but it's a good upgrade. Like, let's be frank. Grenades are great.
They fixed the AT rifle. Someone in a recent video said that it's like Greyshot that you no longer have to give out 1. I know. They don't have to give out 1. They have to get the either lieutenant building unlocked, right, with the additional bonus, or they go through the captain building unlock. They have to do one of those two, and then they get the AT grenade. Kind of like the battle phase for, the building for the Volk squads, or the battle phase for, was it rifle grenades for the grenadiers?
They get. I mean, are we listing all the upgrades?
No, I'm saying. Sorry, I'm saying like you need to get a building before you get a special perk unlock for the unit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Regardless of how they get it, they still get the anti-tank upgrade. They still get flamethrowers. That is an option. Yes. They still get bars. They still get bazookas. Not that you'd want them, but they get bazookas. They get LMGs. There's so many different ways you can customize your rifleman. Listen, you can get it however you want in regards to your rifleman. And no matter what you do to them, they will be competent for the most part, except if you get bazookas, which I don't recommend.
It should also be noted that including a doctrine that we both like, Infantry Company, but I would say like a number of doctrines, they also get an ability to build not necessarily heavy fortifications, but they can build a fighting position. They could build sandbags, right? They can actually make a solid defense, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They get that upgrade
and a cheap mine, which is pretty good against everything.
Yeah, again, some nice upgrades as well. No argument. But even baseline, like, yeah, you don't get to build anything, but these suckers just do work from the start. At the start, Rifleman versus OKW are the best infantry you can fight with. I would argue that, like, Wehrmacht have the advantage in regards to having the MG and the Grenadier. The Grenadier is very potent long range and makes the Rifleman suffer at range. But once you get some bars, the fight quickly turns to your favor. They are flexible. They're not the most expensive unit. Usually you see 3 or 4 of these suckers on the front line with an American player.
Well, the reinforcement cost can be, but again, comparatively to the American playstyle, it doesn't really...
You're getting some heavy-duty firepower, though. Like, you're paying it up front, right? But, once you get some bars, you are in the money. It's not hard to get, like, bars to get that upgrade.
Let's just say this. The scaling potential Riflemen have compared to the other unit I mentioned that's a little bit more expensive at the beginning, Penals, is very different, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Their scaling potential is greatly different, but it's also very high. And the fact that it is very high means that I think this is an S tier, easily an S tier. The question is, where does it go? It doesn't beat paratroopers, let's be quite frank. It doesn't beat paratroopers. But does it beat guards? And I think that's a yes.
We're putting them in S tier?
You disagree with an S tier?
I think they're better if we're going by Riflemen, right? They are solid front line, especially with bars, right? They do, and they get some good upgrades, don't get me wrong.
I'm listening. But yeah, keep going.
But and again, with the snare capabilities that are better, right, with the building unlocked, they're, instead of getting vet 1, especially in a lot of games, it helps. Stop digging!
You're digging yourself a hole, because all that you're doing is digging yourself deeper when you say that letter grade. I say S, but what's your letter grade there, 117?
Because I think there's still other units, especially the British, because we have to get to them. I think the British will have an S tier unit, but I think top of A right now. I think top of A because I think they're better than Pathfinders, and I think compared to conscripts, I think that they have a better firepower and stuff like that. But conscripts,
adamantly disagree with you in this regard, but I will put it at A because everyone in the chat, everyone that leaves comments can be like, "Wow, Greyshot was so wrong," and you know what? I'm with you this time. I'm gonna write that comment too. Wow, 117 so wrong. How
again,
could he?
we can. I want 3 units in S tier, so we can easily move this up if I'm wrong and you prove me otherwise.
We're only
right?
getting 3 units. I don't know how you think we're only getting 1 British in there. I'm sorry. The guards are gonna fall very quickly because there is a. I think you're forgetting about some things, but regardless, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll hit that spice when we get there.
Okay, so then let's get to the British. I think is that fair?
I do want to stress we did forget the medic.
The medic is the British medic because
it's the British. It's not the medic in the okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking like the ambulance for a second.
No. Let's get to the medic because the ambulance technically is a vehicle. So that's why I'm like EKT crew, but it's a vehicle, so it's not really front line. The medic, they do have pistols and you can heal, and they're 180.
That do jack. They're relatively cheap, and they do one thing, which is heal. They're basically equivalent of a unit that takes up pop cap and heals your units on the front line. It's like cool.
Yeah,
like it's
so as a front line again, because that's where we're judging. It heals. That's the only positive I can say about it. It can heal your men. The Brits suck at having the ability to heal and to reinforce at the same time for the fort assembly. And or you have to upgrade an infantry section, which I guess could be fine, but again, that's just
D tier. Because D because like
D. I thought you said B. I'm like, why?
No,
D?
God, no. D is in dog, as in D is in dead. I mean, D is in you do not want D's units.
Yeah.
Like D's units are the equivalent of 250 manpower for the Soviets, and you just get automatic heals in your base. This is sure you can walk around with it, but. Also, hey, guess what? There's an ambulance that does the exact same thing. Like, there's... Yeah, it's good at healing, but it doesn't even do, like, combat. So, I would say D.
For combat, yeah, D. Again, heal's great, and that's the main purpose of it, but we're looking at a fisticuffs battle, and right now this thing does not really perform all that great. So, D tier.
Assault officer.
This one, again, has... this was in addition to the Brits, right? Because they wanted to add some capabilities to the Brits where they could get through machine gun defenses and other stuff. And this thing has a very long smoke and artillery range that can provide support. That one is an excellent recon, which is incredibly valuable, right, to the British. Yep. It's solid close range. Or if you want, you can give them Brens, you know, if you want to get that upgrade for them. And they have a solid light Gammon bomb.
So I'd say a better shock troop in regards to their abilities, but not as good as the Soviet officer in that respect.
Yeah, the Soviet officer causes retreat and can individually boost units. As far as I'm aware, and I will just double check, I do not believe this officer has any ability to necessarily boost individual units. Right.
I was gonna say specifically in regards to the.
It can boost itself. Oh, I'm sorry. The officer rallies the bodyguard to sprint, shoot more accurately, and better evade enemy fire. Sorry, with heroic charge. My apologies. So it does have like a way to increase, like
to boost morale and such. Yeah. But
but again, it's even more limited, and it's really not gonna. It's not gonna help. Like the conscript can help your team. Not conscript. Sorry. The commissar. The commissar can help your team by affecting more than one unit, right? This is just
I would just argue that the force retreat is what really keeps the Soviet officers so high on the list. Like that's just so freaking good. Even though it has a weaker unit, the ability is busted. Like you don't need to fight, you just pay munitions and the enemy walks away. Like okay, great. Assault officer is a better shock troops because it has better infantry. It's also not a specialized, so you're not sacrificing anything like commander-wise to get it. It comes just automatic for every single British player.
The range of the artillery and smoke should not be discounted. I will say that. Because it is farther than the average infantry section.
Which is why I'm also putting it above shock troops for that smoke and that close range ability. It's better able to use that close range combat compared to shock troops, which we were just complaining about that it can't cross distances.
You know what? There is something I completely forgot about this unit. Because I was like, doesn't this thing have an upgrade? And I'm like, why am I thinking I should not get this upgrade? And I remembered, it's the Vickers K upgrade. And again, Tightrope did a great video on it. But the COH2 community currently dislikes heavily the Vickers K because it just does not perform adequately compared to the Bren or other stuff. So a lot of people will just say, do not get the Vickers. Just go base or go Brens. Do not go Vickers because it actually makes you worse.
Well, that's like the anti-tank rifle with the penals. And like, again, it's a bad upgrade, which is why we didn't put it any higher. But like the assault officer, it's kind of the same way, which is that the Vickers, it's an upgrade. But I honestly didn't realize it was that bad in the community, I'll be quite frank, but like...
Yeah. Like, Tightrope just made a whole video on explaining why the Vickers K probably should not be picked compared to other stuff. Like, it does not perform as well as it should. And for what the combat capabilities of the Brits. So
assault officer in that case then, above shock troops, below Soviet officer.
Yes, that's solid. And I think the main gripe is the Vickers. But anyway... Yeah. The assault section.
Yes.
Okay, so these guys are a little different because you get them with you can upgrade them with Thompsons, plus they're already natively decent against close range infantry, if I recall correctly. So, again, the assault infantry section, I'm just pulling up to make sure. Yeah, they get grenade. The one thing I'll say, and I forgot, they get smoke and white phosphorus. You can use both, so you can navigate through lots of MGs with a single unit, which I do find very cool. And they're, again, relatively cheap for smoke and white phosphorus, though white phosphorus is Vet 1. But the other thing is you can, what is it called? Shoot. I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah, it does get, like, sandbags and built trenches. So, from what I can see here, so that's not too bad.
Problem is, though, like... If I'm not mistaken, the commander for this is wasn't the new commander?
It's the Unleashed one.
Yeah, it's the Unleashed one, which is good in 1v1 or 2v2, but in a 3v3 or 4v4 situation, you don't have a direct strike, you don't have a lot of, like, potent units. Yeah, you can have, like, reinforce on the front, which is very good.
Strafing support's also not bad, but it's not a great, like, best thing you can call him for a commander compared to, like,
there's nothing in there that complements this other than give it Brens. You know what I mean? Like, there's just the basic upgrade. So there's nothing to the commander that buffs it. There's nothing that, like, really benefits it in a lot of ways. Because as the British, you really just want to focus on killing the enemy units. Like, you want to get your commandos. You want to get your infantry sections. You just want to be able to murder in a fight. Or when the enemy comes to you, you slaughter them. This specialized kind of unit, I don't think suits the British all that well. I think this is kind of like a B-ish
compared to commandos, which we'll get to. Yeah, you're right. These are not as good and kind of drops off a little bit. I still think the white phosphorus grenade is a positive for it, but it's not that much. So how about this? Yeah. We'll bring it. I think it's weaker than the Soviet assault guards because I think they have more. They have more variability, and I don't think they're good as Soviet airborne, because they get free PPSHs.
The fact they are sections though does mean that they, I think, are better than penals. Like
you just want everything better than penals, don't you?
I'm not saying everything is better. They're still B. Like they're still like good. It's just that you're comparing the good of one to the good of other, and you have to remember this is British. Like these guys get Brens. The Soviets don't get a natural upgrade to their
Thompsons.
Units.
But
Thompsons, but like, they don't get a natural upgrade, which is kind of the detriment to a lot of Soviet industry, which is why they make up for it, which is really good armor, like the Katyusha and the T7, or not T7, well, yeah, T70, a T34. Like, there's so many good things you can get.
Can I put them lower than penals just for my heart?
Yeah, we can put them lower for penals. That's fine. I'll accept that.
Okay.
Exterior echelon. Now the AT infantry section, and I think this is kind of in a similar boat as to what we discussed earlier.
Yeah. Again, 3v3, 4v4. I will keep saying that until I'm blue in the face, because I know a lot of 1v1 guys will probably be mad, like, why?
Yeah, but Greyshot, in this one circumstance on these maps that are really, that favor, I don't know, that have a lot of vehicles, these are really potent against OKW. It's like, cool, we're looking at 3v3, 4v4, where the average player is fighting OKW and Wehrmacht at the same time, and has to fight Grenadiers and Obersudan. Like, there's much more variables to consider.
A larger
open map. Yeah, like farther retreat. I think maybe farther retreat, but like, you know, more dangers. There's more dangers. You have 4 enemies that have like 4 different like commanders, which means a lot more combos, a lot more whatever. You get what I'm saying.
The smoke is the one thing that keeps them, in my opinion, higher than the other base units. But anyway, let's get to the AT infantry section. This is also kind of more of a controversial pick.
Well, that's what we're discussing, which is why I think AT infantry is kind of in that similar boat. Whereas, yeah, you're better against tanks, but like, do you really want to be? And in this case, I think they are worse at that than penals, because if I get a British infantry unit, unless I upgrade their engineers, right? Like unless I use them to add on like the Piots, I really don't care about having a dedicated infantry section, especially literally infantry sections to be able to fight tanks. Unless you're really getting swarmed by light armor. Like, that's the only case.
I will say, in their defense, right, they still have a normal grenade, which they can use against infantry, right?
Okay.
Technically, the PIA upgrade, right, that they get would be more cost-effective than just giving it to a Royal Engineer, right?
True.
They do have vehicle detection.
Just good, yes. But would you say that's better than... Like, the question is, I would say they're better at anti-infantry than a penal. So, but like, how... I wouldn't argue above Soviet Airborne. No way.
No.
So it's either, like, above penal or, like, above Soviet Assault Grens. It's really one of the two.
I think they're better than the Assault section. I don't think they're above Soviet Airborne. Although they are cost-effective against armor, and it does make them a little better. But I don't think their capabilities against armor... I don't, like... In 4v4 with Brits, I feel like people were more likely to get Fireflies or just 6-pounders than or even just give an upgrade to a Echelon. Because in my head, right, this fills the role of an infantry section. And with the manpower issues that the British can have, I don't think you really want to sacrifice a infantry section against infantry for armor.
Now you understand. Yes, I completely agree. They are better than the penals in that respect, but like... Okay, cool. My AT gun is going to do double your work. And again, unless you're facing a lot of armor, a lot of close range armor, I don't think you really need this unit. I think this unit has one scenario that it's good at, and that scenario is not as prevalent as people make it out to seem.
Yeah, so do you find them better than Assault Section? Because I think Assault Section might be better. Because at least that role that it's filling in the infantry section is more useful.
Yeah, let's put them above penals, because they're kind of like a penal squad where you upgrade them and they become, like, worse.
No. So I have Soviet Airborne, penals, Assault Section. Is that what you have?
Yeah. I was just trying to figure out where to put them. So penals are above. You would say penals are above?
I think Assault Section are above. I think Assault Section fill a better role because they still are effective against infantry for the Brits, rather than this unit, which is an anti-armor, which would take the role of... It would take the role of an infantry section, which might be detrimental to the Brits in their main...
So, I will accept that. I was thinking you might want to put them above penals, but I can accept that between the Assault section and Rear Echelon.
Okay. I feel like... Okay, so do you want to drop the Rear Echelon and the Lieutenant down to C tier?
I will knock down the Lieutenant for now down to C tier, but I will not knock down the freaking Rear Echelon. There's no way. No way. That sucker is like, what's the guy that in, like, One Punch Man, who doesn't allow anyone to get to S tier because he's secretly S tier? Yeah. My Mask or something? That is the Rear Echelon. They're so good, they're keeping everyone else from dropping down.
Okay. I feel like we're gonna have to drop some stuff down, because I feel like B's getting a little bloated, along with A a little bit, but here, let's get to the Brit Engineer, right? And we'll cover the Brit Engineer and the Engineer Recovery Squad at the same time. Because I feel like they have similar bonuses and weaknesses, but I feel like They kind of complement each other a little bit.
Okay, close range, like good repair. Anything else?
Well, they get the heavy engineer, so that makes them better, right?
Yeah.
They do have the bonus, right, of let me just want to make sure I get this right. Yeah. So if we're going through the engineers, right? Yes, it's only 4 models. It's not gonna win any. The Royal Engineer itself is not gonna be like turning the tide in combat, but it is, I think, especially for its cost, not a bad close range unit. In cover, I think it can hold up, even better than Pioneers. Right?
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I don't think that they are amazing at what they do. Like,
and I think that the primary purpose, right, is to build defenses. It can build cheap mines, and it does have the option to go heavy engineers. But you're right, that's an option that's way late in the game, but it can help build and help out with the Churchills. But again, the Churchill is so much armor. If you just had it without the upgrade, it'll take forever.
All right, now would you argue? Okay, how about this? If you had a choice between the best Brit engineer that has to offer and the best rear echelon, what are you choosing?
Okay, so I feel like, and this will be me, I feel like the base Royal Engineer is weaker than the rear echelon, right? I think that the rear echelon, at its best, with the rifle grenades, is better than the best base rear echelon. So I'm fine with moving.
You just said the best base.
Wait. Yes, the base rear echelon, not the recovery squad. And I'll get to that in a second. But if we're going with the base engineer, the base British engineer, I think that it would drop down to C tier, and I think that it would go above partisan. Is that fair? This is the British engineer. The Royal Engineer
between lieutenant and partisan.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. So the Royal Recovery Squad, because it has flamethrowers, right? Because it does have that, I believe, smoke grenade? Or am I crazy? Yeah, it does have a smoke grenade. Right? Because that really helps out. Plus, it still has everything else the engineer has. Plus, it has salvage, right? And salvage can really help you if you kill a German vehicle at making up the munition differences. It's better than the OKW salvage. This is what the OKW salvage wishes it was. Because if you kill, let's say, a King Tiger, you're getting tons of fuel and munitions that help you out. And if we look at the commanders that it's in, it's not like it's in some bad commanders. It's in Mobile Assaults, which has the mattress, which is, I think, an okay one.
Yeah, it's like a B. Yeah.
And then we're looking at the other one, which is the Royal Engineer Regiment, which is the AVRE.
Okay, I will give you this: if we knock the rear echelon down to down to C, which I disagree with, it's at the top of C.
Okay. But
this could be second.
You're saying and again, this is where I think the Royal Recovery Squad, which is better. I think it should be in B tier. Like, I truly think this is a solid unit, especially for its cost.
Okay, then we're moving AT infantry down. I think AT infantry compared to all the other infantry sections should be at the top of Charlie, right?
How about this? I'll make a deal with you. Make a deal. We can move the AT section down, and I'll give, because the rear echelon grenade is so good, I will move it up. I will move it up, but I think the base with the rear echelon the rear echelon noob tube is solid, but I think as a base unit without even the flamethrower, I think the Royal Recovery Squad is better for its role at being in my opinion, one of the best engineer units.
I will accept this. So we're trading places. AT infantry goes between rear echelon and assault section, and AT infantry section goes to the top of Charlie or top of C. Gosh, Charlie.
That's okay. So how about this? We'll answer that real quick. What do you find better?
Soviet Airborne.
Okay, I will let you have this because I'm gonna argue. This is where we're gonna have to have an opinion. There's penals, and then we have the rear echelon and the assault section, right? I think the engineer recovery squad should, in my opinion, be higher than the assault engineers of the Americans.
Okay, I'm fine with that, but assault sections then go down to Charlie.
Assault section. Oh, that's fine. I'm okay with
assault section, AT infantry section, lieutenant, Brit engineer, partisan, and engineer. And again, I want to stress, I'm not moving this down to Charlie because I think that they deserve it. I'm moving it down because you think there's an arbitrary limit of how many things should be in B.
Well, I think it should be, like, we should try to go for a nice spread, right?
Bell curve? Okay. I will go there. I'm just putting my note as, if you want to know where I would end C, it's, I would have the assault section up in Bravo. Like, or B. God damn it.
All right, fine. Yeah. How about... Well, I think we're going to fill it up here in a second.
Yeah, we'll fill it up in a second. So let's hold off on that and just go to the commando, which, easy A. I mean, let's be quite frank.
Okay, so here's...
Give me your argument. Hit me with your best shot.
Okay, so commandos, right?
Yes.
All right.
I have to call them in on a freak from the sky. They come crashing down and they answer the Brits' prayers for great infantry.
They do. They answer the calls to help out, to support, to try to do what they can. I just realized that we wait. Hold on one sec. Let me pull up commandos here so I make sure that I didn't mess them up, because I believe okay, maybe I... No, okay. At least on this, infiltration commandos and commandos are under the same abilities and stuff. So, unless I'm mistaken. But anyway, they have heavy weapons expert, which makes them even better with Brens. They have demos. They have light gammon bombs. They can ambush quite effectively. They're incredible at close range. They get smoke grenades at vet 1. They smoke on retreat, which makes them even better. They heal at vet 1. And again, when they ambush, especially with higher veterancies, they can get stuff that makes them even more proficient at it. I think that these are the best, like, essential, like pop out of the woods and murder all your infantry units. They excel at what they're designed to do, which is why we have a lot.
They're far better than shock troops.
For what they're designed, shock troops are what they you can see
in regards to being close range and distance fighters. Like they're in the Panzergrens in that respect, in which they can infantry at a distance. Like these suckers aren't just close range; they will shred at close range, but they can do far more than that.
Yeah, the problem with shock troops is now you see them coming, but they don't have the speed boost. So even with the armor, they can sometimes be shredded getting close. Right? They have a hard time closing the gap. Commandos, they don't have to close the gap if you don't want them to, because you can get Brens. If you want them to close the gap, they have the camouflage ability, which makes it easier, especially in a war-torn environment, for them to close that gap. So, for me, I think that they are more proficient than shock troops. I think that they are, and again, I think because
they're more proficient than Rangers.
Because they close and long range. I think this is the one British unit I could see making it to S tier.
I'm sorry, that's a great joke. There's still there's a clear S tier on this list.
Again, this is the one thing I want to give at least an argument, right? I think that people in the comments will give an argument to commandos being higher. What is your argument against commandos?
What is my argument? I think they're great infantry, but first off, they're specialized primarily only for a few doctrines. They're not like a standard. They're
expensive.
Yeah. And while they do come in with you can't ignore the fact they do come in with basically a heal point. But a lot of the time that heal point isn't on the front. I mean, you can do it, but it's also good like to get behind the lines, or to go for like a star very quickly if you need to send something. They're very potent. They're expensive. They're even more expensive. I would just argue that because of their expensiveness, because of their potentness, they deserve to be, I would argue, above Rangers, or like around the Pathfinder area. Like conscripts are great. I think conscripts on a man for man is better, but like it's somewhere in this range. I do not believe they should be anywhere above riflemen though. That is 100% disagree.
Okay, so how about that again? It's a dark horse entry, but I at least wanted to put that out there because I feel like one or two people will. So we'll move riflemen up to S tier. I would say, would you put them higher?
No, we're not done. I'm not saying that's no, because there's something in S tier that you are completely glossing over. I don't know why, but we'll get to there in a sec.
Oh,
But
I thought, okay, if we're thinking about the same unit, okay, so
there's
you
only
say
two left, and it's not the raid section.
Okay, so you would put them higher than Rangers.
Yeah. Where would you put them in regards to that?
I would put them higher than Rangers. I think that's a good spot. Conscripts have the support functionality. Pathfinders, like you mentioned, and Riflemen are very good all around. So Rangers need the upgrade to be better at close range. And Commandos, again, they have a lot of bonuses that allow them better at close range warfare. So I'll give you that.
All right. So with that said, I'm now going to tell you why you're wrong about assuming that the S tier ends at Commandos and that's it. And that's because we have the infantry section. And if there's any unit that has scaling in this game like no other, it is the infantry section. The infantry section is a starting 4-man, but can upgrade to 5-man squad. They can be upgraded to have grenades. They can be upgraded to have Brens. They can be upgraded to have a plethora of weapons, including Piats, but you don't really want them. You can give them Vicar Ks. You can give them pretty much anything. And while they are expensive, they pack the hardest punch of any and all infantry baseline in the game. Like, you fully upgrade these guys. You get them to 3-star veterancy, and you get them behind heavy cover. And I dare say that not even Obelsodaten can pry them out of that cover. They are potent. They can shred. When these suckers get into a blob, they are absolutely potent. They are the best infantry killing units that you can possibly start out with. And you get these guys at the start of the game. Yes, they are weak at the start. Yes, they will be killed if they're not in the heavy cover. But in good, solid, expert hands, there is no better unit that can excel in most situations, whether it be close quarters or long range, especially long range.
Okay,
they can build their own cover too. Like,
it takes a while. It takes a while for them to build up to get that potential, right? Yeah. And the American Riflemen already start off with like great potential. Like they are already, even with you just giving them bars, right? Then they quickly get veterancy, become a nuisance. The infantry section, even with Brens in cover, the raid section don't have, like, again, are better on the move, but compared to infantry section, which aren't. And infantry section are better in cover. Like, that's just, yes, they're better at holding. So I will 100% give you that. But again, the scaling of that, and also the lack of their effectiveness on a push necessarily, can definitely have some drawbacks. Now, when a battlefield is worn and torn and there's all sorts of medium cover, yes, they excel at the latest portions of the game. But if I'm looking at a early to mid, Riflemen especially, also, they have an ATA capability with a snare, which the British infantry do not. They have to rely on Royal Engineers to get that snare. So, for me personally, I would see it as infantry section being slightly... They're definitely more powerful, right? They have the potential, but I think if you're pushing the enemy back in later portions of the game, Riflemen are probably better.
They can be countered pretty well with, like, let's say JLIs, but like the thing is, the
pyrotechnic artillery does give them an edge. Yeah, you have to give them a lot. Like, the pyrotechnics and the medics can be very good to help you keep on the front and also to blast the enemy hard positions away. I will not deny that, but
okay, so where would you see them? If they're not, like, I would put them second. I'd put them right behind paratroopers. That's how good they are in my view. Where would you put them?
Damn. I was gonna... Okay, so I was gonna make the argument for Commandos, see what you took, and then just immediately be like, okay. Because I was gonna say we can move 4 units up to S tier. How about that? And then we'll try to have 4 units in C tier. That way we can kind of even things out. So if I am seeing this...
Yeah.
The guards, you get 1 upgrade. They're great. The infantry section require a lot more upgrades to get to that point. I personally think Riflemen would be better than guards because of the fact that they don't require so many... they do require bars, but they're generally just overall better. But, maybe I'll put guards higher. Out of paratroopers, guards, Riflemen, and then infantry section. That's what I kind of see in my
You
head.
have paratrooper guards, rifleman, infantry section in S tier.
Yeah.
I will begrudgingly accept this, mainly for the fact that riflemen get to S tier. That's my caveat in this, is because while I do think infantry sections are better than riflemen, I am happy that riflemen can get to S tier, so I will accept this with the note that you accept the fact that the infantry section has the better scaling. I'm sorry, infantry sections in regards to actual damage potential eclipse guards rather easily at their best.
No, the damage potential on them is solid. I will not deny it. Like I can't give you the exact specific damage, but they rival paratroopers, right? I would say they rival paratroopers in damage.
I wouldn't put it that high, but it's rather close.
Okay, so
for a baseline infantry, for something you get at the start of the game, you don't have to go any commanders. Every British player, no matter what, can go this, right? Is paratroopers unlocked behind a commander? Infantry sections are not. That's what makes them rather good.
But again, my one thing is you have to buy the 5-man squad. You have to buy the bonuses for the pyrotechnics, right? You have to buy the Bren guns. Even though they are cheaper than bars, and the unit itself is better in cover, not on the move, but they're better in cover than they are fighting out in the open and moving, right?
Okay. Yeah, I accept this. We'll put them where they are.
Yeah, so you're right.
The
scaling is undeniable, but it is a climb, right? It's Gohan Super Saiyan 2. You have to get through a lot of BS to get to the awesomeness, but there is awesomeness there.
Okay, I'll accept that. So yeah, paratrooper guards, rifleman, infantry section. Now raid section.
Here's the thing. Raid section do have benefits over infantry section. Like I said, they are better on the move. They don't have the debuffs that the infantry section have. The one caveat...
butt coming.
They're just a weird unit because you get mines, I believe, at Vet 1, which itself is a bit weird. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I pull them up, right? They do capture territory a little better. They get sprint. Yeah, they get the modified M6 mine. Yeah, it's
nothing spectacular.
Well, I mean, the mine's good, and they get Molotov cocktail. But again, here comes the problem. Their main upgrade is the Vickers K. And right now, because the Vickers K situation, the bonus that they would get from that is not as good as it should be because of its proficiency. So I can see the Vickers K because of that.
With the lieutenant.
You can always give it with the Bren. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say that low. But I see them being you could give them Brens and they are maybe better, moving. But then also it's like you get sprint and also you get a Molotov. So that's also the problem is like they're designed to run up, right? They're designed to run up and they're designed to cap territory and they're designed to like get close with combat. But
it's a very specialized.
But what I would say this is getting Thompsons with this unit, not. And the Vickers K is it's a weird unit, and unfortunately, I think that
it suffers.
It suffers because of it. It doesn't have the best defined role, so it does drop a little bit.
So where would you put it?
Damn it!
Right now, I never see this. Like, I'll be quite honest. Like, it's quite rare to see this sucker.
So how about this? I honestly, for close range, I think the assault section are better because they at least get Thompsons and the additional smoke. These things don't get a smoke, so you're gonna have to add that issue into pushing the combat. So you're gonna need assault officer. You're gonna need another infantry section with smoke. So that is a big issue for pushing.
All right, so
it's a hodgepodge unit. I would put them. I'd put them weaker than the AT infantry section. Damn it, you might be right.
I don't. I'm saying it's like a better, like you could throw it around like lieutenant, like it's pretty much where I'd expect this kind of unit.
If someone like,
no one's gonna cry that the raid section is in C. If they do, I want a 500-word essay as to why I'm
I'm
wrong.
putting it under lieutenant. At least the lieutenant has something. I put under lieutenant.
All right. If anyone has a complaint about this, I want a 500-word essay on my desk on Monday, explaining why I'm wrong.
Okay, so S tier, paratrooper, guards,
Yep.
rifleman, infantry section.
I accept this.
A tier, pathfinder, conscript, commando, rangers, commissar, assault officer, shock troops, captain.
Yep.
Do we want to move? We have one spot if we want to. We could. Well, do the A tier and B tier are pretty close.
Yeah, I would argue that like the captain is the perfect endpoint because it's
Okay.
like right, for what it unlocks, for what it can do. Yeah, bottom of
Okay.
A.
Pathfinder.
For B, you have IR Pathfinders.
Do you find it weird we have the captain lower than rifleman, but it technically?
No, because we're going based on the unit, right? And
It
you
is
have
one
to spend
unit.
35 fuel to get it, which is a detriment. You also don't get a snare, a detriment.
I mean-
you don't get a grenade, which is a detriment. And while you do get some cool bonuses, they're kind of specialized in what they can do. Yes, the captain is good, but
Once you unlock the building, you don't unlock. Like, you
but
don't pay
I would
off.
argue it's under some tough competition in regards to like, does it have better abilities than the Soviet officer? No. Does it have better close range or specialization than the shock troop? No. It's just it's in a tough competition.
We
where it's
might
at.
get a little blowback by that, but I don't care at this point.
Well,
All right.
it's just honestly, it doesn't have the firepower to go any higher because it does beat a lot of things. It just doesn't have the specialization or the firepower to go against anything that's above it. Like, would you argue the captain has better DPS than a commando? No. Would you argue that the captain has more flexibility or better abilities than a Soviet officer? No. But could you say, hey, would I rather have a captain
Can I
than a
make
Soviet
one thing?
airborne?
Can I do
What?
one thing? What I will do, the only thing I will change on this, because again, I'm thinking of comments. Can we move the conscript up one to above Pathfinder? Can the conscripts beat the Pathfinder?
Yeah. The Pathfinders are kind of a thing that needs to be, are kind of broken, but we're kind of acknowledging that by how high it's placed.
Yeah.
And acknowledging, like...
I think conscripts deserve to be at the top of A for the upgrade they get. They deserve it. Those men deserve a little bonus.
I will accept this with the caveat of, like, accepting that we all understand what the actual, like, Pathfinder's real power is here. We're kind of just...
Okay.
Okay.
Hidden potential. Okay.
With that out of the way,
B
in
tier.
B, IR Pathfinders, then then Assault, then Assault FNG, then Soviet Airborne, Soviet Assault conscripts, Penals, the
Echelon.
FNG, the squad,
It's
and
not
then
FNG, it's engineer.
sorry, it's cut off. Engineer, Engineer Recovery Squad, and then Rear Echelon.
Okay. C tier. Man, if there's a Brit fan, they're gonna yell at us. There's so many Brits here. Assault section.
I mean, that's how their country is right now, right?
ATFG
Solid
section.
C tier.
Yeah. Lieutenant. AT section. The lieutenant raid section. Brit engineer. Partisan engineers. Is there anything we would bring down to D tier?
Maybe partisans. Maybe that's really the only thing I think of. But honestly, I don't think we should.
Partisans are fine. I think partisans.
I don't think anything deserves to be punted on
No.
combat ability. The medic is the only thing I'm just like, why bother? You know.
I'm fine with this. I'm okay with this. I'm happy with this.
I'm good with this. I'm okay with this. I'm good with this.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. It bothers me.
It bothers me a lot. I'm leaving. But no.
I think that's a pretty good list.
I think it's a pretty good list. And again, I think that we've covered that S and A tier are solid and may have one critique about them, and that's maybe outside of their actual control. B tier is fine. C tier is where the unit itself has a issue, whether it's placement, how its composition in the army, or the unfortunate aspect of the game has changed and it may not be the right course of action to get this unit compared to other units. Or it just might not be a very strong unit. Like, a medic is not designed for frontline, but we put it here because you could technically buy it as a frontline unit. So, anyway. Yeah, that's our list. Hot damn, that took a while, but we got through it. We got through it, everyone. Hot damn.
Yeah, we did. But otherwise, what do you guys think? Is 117 wrong? And tell us how and by how much. Leave it in the comments below. And if you do enjoy this content, remember to like and subscribe. It does help us in a ton of ways. Help us with the metrics and stuff. So greatly appreciate it if you do happen to do that.
Yep. All right. Thanks again. This has been Greyshot117.
And Greyshot151 here, being the voice of reason, of course.
And we'll see all of you guys next time.
Until then, later.
Hello, everyone. This is Greyshot117. And before y'all go, let me give a special shout out to Patreon supporters Joey G240, Milam, BigChuche, Aphyria, Ace, PyroShark, Tony B95, Epic Pleb. Thank you all for your incredible support and helping me grow my channel and support my channel and everything I do. Thank you, and to the rest of you, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.